I'm Patty Boyle. I'm the AIA Detroit president. I want to talk about climate change and Detroit. Last year, in 2019, the AIA National adopted Resolution 1911, which was a resolution for urgent and sustained climate action. The president talked about this being the top priority for the organization. As part of that direction, the AIA adopted what was the COTE Top 10 as the AIA Framework for Design Excellence, really redefining good design as sustainable design. They are the same thing. They should not be considered as two separate parts of design that we do. So even though we don't have things like wildfires blazing through our backyards right now, this is still a critical issue for our region. Warming in the Great Lakes has been increasing, and that increase is outpacing national averages. We have also been outpacing national averages for increased precipitation. So while on national we've seen an increase of about 4%, in the Great Lakes we've seen a 10% increase in precipitation. Clearly, increased precipitation has an impact on our agricultural economy. It has an impact on our fish and wildlife. As the result, it impacts our water quality. We've seen the super toxic blooms in Lake Erie over the last couple of years. And those then have, in turn, an effect on our recreation and tourism, which is a significant contributor to Michigan's economy overall. We end up paying for this economically. Our primary asset in our region, of course, is our Great Lakes. That fresh water represents 20% of the globe's freshwater resources and 90% of North America's freshwater resources. That's a big deal. All of this impacts the work that we do as designers and as architects of the built environment and of buildings. This is something that we need to be paying attention to, and we need to be incorporating and thinking about in our designs. So what do we do as designers and architects? The AIA National, a number of years ago, established the 2030 Challenge, which had as a mission to address energy performance in our buildings with the goal of reaching net zero carbon buildings by 2030. It's a really significant and ambitious goal. To participate, firms sign on showing that they've made a commitment to achieving that goal, and that's referred to as the 2030 commitment. Firms have reported over the last several years the results of their projects. How have their projects been performing relative to this goal? What's interesting is that we see while a majority of the square footage that's reported comes from large firms, small firms are actually outpacing large firms in terms of achieving the goal. So in fact, firms that have fewer than 10 people are achieving a 60% reduction in projected energy use intensity, or PEUI. That's significant. That's a huge accomplishment. There's really no reason why any firm couldn't and shouldn't be participating in this. A firm of any size has the capability of having an impact. Unfortunately, in Michigan, we have very few firms that have signed on to the 2030 Challenge, and of those firms, we have very low rates of reporting. So in order to understand how well we're doing, we need those firms to be reporting, and we need more firms to be signed on to not only show that they're committed, but to then allow us to measure how well we're doing against this goal. We want Detroit to lead on this front. We want AIA Detroit and its members and the designers and architects in our community to be leaders on climate change, not just in our region, but I think in our broad mega region and potentially even nationally. The AIA is a resource to its member firms for things like this. We want to see sharing knowledge across firms. We want to share best practices and ideas on tools and workflows that help our firms understand how to achieve this goal and actually deliver on addressing climate change in their work and in their designs. Explicitly, we have a goal of increasing the number of firms in our region that have signed on to the 2030 commitment, and then seeing the reporting from those firms increase as well. And we would love to see one day this work be evidenced with a COTE Top 10 award of a project in our region. We want our firms to step up and participate, work with one another, help share best practices, and make Detroit a leader on climate change in the built environment. I know we can do this together, and the AIA is ready and wanting to stand with our firms to help accomplish this goal. We just want you to spend more energy on less energy.